Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you all for being here with us. Okay, next we're going to have an introduction of George Moore of Ginger Follies. And Larry, come on up. I'll turn this over to you.
When Tom asked Bill and I to put together a presentation for George Moore for his induction into the Porter Series Hall of Fame, we were excited to do this as we were both inspired by beautiful Ginger Collins. We both started out in the late 60s and share a very similar timeline and interest in the Ginger family, which served as the foundation of both of our future families. Gail wrote a tribute to George after his passing that was published in the Bulletin in 2017, and we're using this for the presentation. We agreed that I would present and she would provide the text. Gail is certainly a better writer than I am a presenter, so here we go. No golden age lasts forever. One of the pivotal times in college occurred during the 1960s to the 1970s. That era produced so many beautiful college kennels. It was a time when colleges were at their peak in numbers and popularity, with many successful breeders and scores of influential sires. It will be a long time before we ever see the likes of that again. George Moore was at the end of one of those important periods. George started out at the age of 15 along with his mother, Dorothy Horn, and they used the kennel name Bobby Horn. They had with a granddaughter champion, the Duke of Silverwood. Along the way, he met and married Ginger, who also shared an equal passion for the breed, and Ginger Collies was established. Picture two. Ginger proved to be one of the most popular kennels during this glorious time. However, overall, they were the owners and breeders of 23 plus champions. Their first dog was finished. They finished with Blue, champion Winsong Beaver's Choice in 1962. And the last one shown was Blue, champion Ginger's Development Blue in 1976. Sandwiched in between was an array of tricolor, sable, and blue merle champions of outstanding quality and future influence. They were awarded Breeder of the Year, Top Sire, Top Dam multiple times, and won Best of Breed at our national twice. Their dogs were known for their style, outline, beautiful heads, eye expression, with great coats. Although they were die-hard Parader fans, utilizing the best of Silverwood Parader through the descending families such as Belbrook, Cherville, Kittredge, and Arrowville. They later incorporated the bloodlines of other winning kennels such as Arizona. Typically, Ginger kept about 10 to 12 adult collies and puppies at various stages of growth. They had the ideal setup in New Jersey with a kennel building that was 40 by 400 feet, previously used as a chicken house. Several significant purchases led the way, beginning with champion Winsong Beaver's Choice, well in 1958. He was sired by the CCA winning champion Cherville Garnet. Indeed, the key to the Horn's early successes were a couple of lucky purchases and acquisitions and knowing what to do with them. Next. A lucky break came when the acquisition of Ginger Velvet's Choice, bred by Ralph Perry. This young 9-month-old male puppy was first discovered at the Velvet Collies of John and Ada Juliana. The Horns, who were just starting their Ginger Collies, went to Velvet looking to purchase a tricolor bitch to breed to dealer's choice. They got the tri bitch and in the process discovered that the young dog was available. Upon seeing the beautiful puppy, the Horns leaped at the opportunity of acquiring the red puppy with a beautiful face. At $150, it was a buy of a lifetime. Patrick, as he was known, became the backbone of the kennel, and his sons and daughters formed the nucleus of the entire Ginger family. As George was fond of saying, he was the daddy of them all. He put Ginger on the collie map. Patrick, Parader-based pedigree, traced in every direction to that day's top collie sire, champion Silver-Bow Parader. Through the various Parader descendants, such as Bold Venture, Golden Image, Champion Ariel, Oklahoma Redman, and next picture. Patrick excelled. Patrick excelled in head, eye, and expression with a beautiful coat with correct texture. In spite of his novice handler, George himself, he easily finished his championship at the age of 3, winning 2 specialty majors. After finishing, Patrick was retired from the show ring to do what he does best, reading. And he did that very well. He ended up the top sire. This picture here is actually Breeze Long, the son of his. Patrick was a couple pictures back, sorry, kind of out of line there, but I'll get you Breeze. There you go, that's Patrick as a young dog. I'm sorry for the quality of the pictures, but back then, it was really hard to get good pictures. And most of these were taken from magazines and yearbooks and that kind of thing. So he ended up top sire for several years in a row. Whether he was inbred, line-bred, or outcrossed, he did well with just about all the top collie families, and he proved to be a natural breeder, something George felt was very important. He sired 30 champions, which included several CCA winners. He was one of the breed's most influential sires during this period, and many of his kids went on to become great producers as well. Patrick's quality was so apparent that other breeders began looking to this young, unproven stud for breeding their bitches. The first bitch bred to him was champion Greg Shar's Gold Honeycomb, owned by Barbara Woodmansey. Next picture. Okay, next picture. Yeah, that's pretty. The resulting winner in 1961 produced 10 puppies, including one of the greatest show dogs in the history of the breed, champion J. Dean's Breezelaw. Another lucky break came later when the Horns were lucky enough to acquire Breezy when the owner moved to Florida. He was the consummate show dog and the biggest winner of his time. #1 collie, Hawkins System 1966, Best in Show winner of 9 working groups, winner of just about every top specialty on the East Coast, and a culmination of a Best to Breed with the 1967 National Specialty. Breezy sired several top winners and producers, including the litter mates champion Jim Georgiak of Tamarack and the CCA winning champion Marcus Evening Breeze. Next picture. Following Breezy's litter came other Patrick breeds and more champions. His kids were winning everywhere, coast to coast, at the largest shows in the country. His puppies became easily recognizable thanks to the beautiful chiseling and finish of muzzle along with pretty, properly placed eyes. Another important acquisition included the great producing bitches, champion Great Shark Little Honeycomb, champion Santas Treaty Fair, who was a dam of 5 champions, and later champion Carlos Blue Ruin, dam of 4 champions. From these wonderful breedings, many champions followed. Champion Jim Torres Waiting Choice, who was reserve bitch in 1967 National. Next, champion Jim George Snap of Tamarack, champion Jim George Development Inc., who was also reserve bitch at the 66th National, champion Jim George Development Choice, champion Jim George Patent Pending, champion Jim George Blue Ruination, champion Jim George Kismet, and champion Jim George Development Blue, 1976 CCA breed winner, and a host of others. Many of these were owned by other breeders, so the horns became known for selling their good ones. Champion Jim George Development Choice was the Patrick son. Next. Yes, okay. Was the next in the line, destined to carry on the family. Bruiser came about when Breezy's sister, the beautiful Jim George Honey of Choice, on the advice of Van Dyke, was bred to Humax Mr. Esquire, basically Cherville breeding. The breeding produced the lovely and stylish champion Jim George Indelible Inc. Inky was bred back to her grandfather, Patrick, and produced champion Jim George Indelible Choice, Bruiser. Bruiser was a heavy-coated, tri-colored, big-boned, dark eye with a flat skull, as flat a skull as you would ever see. He started 13 champions, including a number of CCA winners, and fired the next bell in the line of progression of champion Jim George Development Blue. Next picture. There you go. Another lucky break came when Carl Andrews of Carla Collies gave George champion Carlos Blue Ruin, a heavily coated blue bitch who finished at 4 majors. Though she was different from the bloodlines they had previously were working with, she was mostly Aaron's own and Royal Rock. She blended well and went on to be a wonderful producer. When bred to champion Jim George Indelible Choice, she produced 4 champions, including the next in line champion Jim George Indelible Blue. The horns breeding and showing career climaxed with the ended with the top winning Blue Dog champion Jim George Indelible Blue Hair, who was aptly named, sired 11 champions. Jim George Collies was officially retired when Hare won Best of Breed the 76th National Specialty. This picture is of George and Hare. Well, next picture. Yeah. George and Hare. And Marcia Keller winning Best Veteran, her champion Marna's Evening Breeze, both were Jim George breeding. Had the kennel continued, who knows what else? Next picture. What else might have been accomplished? It's been said that a mark of a great breeder is knowing when to outcross and knowing what to do with the resulting progeny. The horns proved time and time again that they knew where to go, what they needed, and what to do with the resulting puppies. A major factor of the success of the kennel, aside from some extremely good fortune in being in the right place at the right time, involved knowledge, dedication, and a lot of hard work. Plus, it didn't hurt that Ginger Collies were always well trained and groomed to perfection. George remains firmly implanted in modern, or Ginger Collies remains firmly implanted in modern pedigrees and went on to influence and impact many later day breeders and kennels. There are countless influences all across the country in today's pedigree. Ginger influenced kennels like Marnus, Tamarack, Wayside, Shinstone, Tartonside, Bangor, Chelsea, Windcrest, Vanity, and others. George's greatest influence as a youngster were the books of Terhune. Van Dyke of Honeybrook fame furthered George's collie education. As George said many times, just wind Van up like a clock, and he never stopped talking. George spent many a time watching and talking to other handlers, and he learned from some of the best. Other influences were Frank Ashby, a professional handler, Mike Kennedy, the master groomer and handler of Bellbrook Collies. Ginger watched both endlessly inside and out the ring, trying to pick up tidbits and knowledge in grooming and handling tips. Gus Secrets of Cherryville fame was an additional wealth of information, and he authored one of George's favorite articles, Degree of Fault. However, probably the biggest influence was from Steve Hill from Prager fame. George was in line with Steve's natural approach to animal husbandry, and they became fast friends and he made many trips to Prager in conversations with Steve. Though George, next picture, yeah. Well, we're back. Yeah, that's George and Steve. You can tell that was in the 70s, he's plaid. Though George had given up showing and breeding for over 40 years, he never lost the interest in collies or collie people. While show wins were very important to George, he also understood that without good health and temperament, a breeder was nothing. His belief was good temperament and health were the foundations of any successful breeding program. Next picture. George, an important part of learning to breed was listening. He believed experience was gained over time and there was no instant way to success. George was a big proponent of doing everything in a normal, natural manner. Whether it was breeding bitches, stuck dog management, or puppy raising and training, it was his belief that you want puppies that start out vigorously and healthy. He never questioned the practicality of keeping for breeding stock puppies who had to have all sorts of things done to them to keep them alive. He felt there was a lot of merit to the idea of survival of the fittest, and he wanted good leaders. A bitch's producing ability was more important than her winnability factor. He wanted bitches with normal heat cycles, wanted them to breed normally, welt normally, and be good mothers. He wanted stud dogs that could be bred naturally and didn't have to be artificially bred because they couldn't do it. He believed stud dogs and brood bitches, once finished, shouldn't be shown. He felt that stud dogs did not perform as well when heavily campaigned. He recognized he could not rationalize campaigning a bitch because she was too important as a breeding animal. Basically, the girls take home once they were finished. Occasionally, he wanted to go out to a show but if they were in heat or bread, they would stay home. In 1970, George became a licensed AKC judge for colleagues. He credited the iconic all-breed judge Alva Rosenberg as his judging mentor and primary motivation in becoming a judge. For George, Alva was one of a kind, one of the greatest judges to ever live. George was especially proud of Greasy's Best in Show win under Alva in 1967. George later added Shelties, Does, Boxers, Danes, German Shepherds, and Juniors. George was honored to judge our national specialty on 3 occasions. 3 of these times, all 3 times he judged bitches. Fun fact, George was so popular back in that time that although he had got his license in 1970, he judged his first national assignment in 1971, just the next year after, in Oklahoma City. Obviously not the same short rules we have today to select judges. Next picture.
Oops.
Yeah. His rough winner's pitch was Martha's Kelly Blues CD. His critique described her top quality headpiece, lovely eyes and ears, set on a good neck. Matured in body and coat, she had the sparkle of a puppy. Next. His reserve bitch was Andel's Twinkle Twinkle. He commented, this is a well-constructed orange sable. Very proud, she possessed a smooth head, a sweet eye and expression. Next. His smooth winner's bitch, Lindy's Velcrest Carolina, stated she excelled in expression and possessed a lovely neck. Though rather puppyish in some aspects, her quality carried her to winner's edge. In 1979, he judged bitches in San Diego. Rough winner's pitch was West Wind's Paper Rose. His comment, a beautiful red sable with eye, ear, and expression to burn. Great neck, great arch of neck, soundness, and balance, and overall picture. His reserve pitch, vanity blue eggs. His comment, a gorgeous blue bitch with great neck and elegance. She excelled in neck, soundness, balance, and overall picture. She was perfectly attuned to her hammer. That's what he said. I wish I was that age again. Next picture. His winner's bit smooth. Shall Cam's whale song. His comment, she possessed one of the best heads she could ever want. Very flat skull, with good finish of underjaw and no excessive depth. Next. Reserve bitch was McMurray's Foxy Filly, a lovely sable bitch, very showy. She had good expression and neck. And next. In 1988, in Springfield, Massachusetts, his winner's bitch was Omega, going in style. He stated, she brought to the party an absolutely classic profile, lovely eyes and ears, good bone and balance, and along with great legs. The picture she made was with her lovely arch of neck and straight backline was mouth-watering. Next picture. Reserve bench was Napier's Bejeweled. What does that look like? Beautiful light color sable with classic profile, smooth muzzle, lovely ears and expression. She had the arch of neck, good back line, and showed off her truly exquisite expression. That year, due to the large injury, Smooth Bitches was given to George Solner, so he could be exposed. However, George also did junior showmanship at that national, and his winner was Natasha Cafelli. also judged junior showmanship classes in 1984. His best junior was James Holiday. Yeah, I didn't remember that. The next picture. I was also at that national and was able to get this picture of us together. In later years, because of his health issues, he had to cut back on his judgment. But at one time, he was one of the breed's most popular judges. He came out of retirement to judge the Nebraska College Club show in 2014, and that would turn out to be his last assignment. Yeah. I had the pleasure of registering that day. It was quite extraordinary, actually. It was very moving for both of us. Next picture. Even after his breeding and showing days were over, George continued to be in demand as a speaker at seminars and colleges all across the country. No one was as articulate or knowledgeable or entertaining. A frequent writer of most of the day's college magazines, in 1990, for posterity, he decided to record his many conversations with Steve Field. George knew the wealth of information this man held in his hands, so George created the popular series Steve Said for College Expressions magazine, Nancy. As seminars declined in popularity across the country, George decided he still had much to teach and started the internet blog called From the Desk of the Dinosaur. Topics were always timely and loaded with tips of information. He wrote about the old days, the old logs, the old breeders, and he always told it exactly as he saw it. His writings continue to be in demand as he was out of college for over 40 years. Next picture. In his remaining years, George and his lovely wife, Phyllis, lived in Kalamazoo, Michigan, on an acre just outside of town, with 2 colleagues, an assortment of cats, and his and her horses. Not yet. All right, next picture. I'll leave you with this quote from George, and I thought it would be one of his most poignant statements. Dan Dyke, my mentor of Pennybrook College, told me once, there are college fanciers and there are college lovers, and it's virtually impossible to be both. I challenge you to be both. I tried very hard for all these years. I was in it to be both. You don't have to be enamored in all shows and taking points. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's see, but by the way, but make sure that we love them for what they are, and besides just doing together and point pairs. It's a wonderful, wonderful breed. We have wonderful breed we have, and they deserve to be loved. That's the last thing I'll say tonight. And that was his quote at his seminar after his last special that he judged in 2014 in Nebraska. It was a lovely seminar afterwards. It was a dinner. It was very touching. Everybody was very emotional. But that's it. Thank you so much.